Okay, is everybody here, Julia?
That is correct.
Very good then. I call the meeting to order and I'd like a motion to adopt remote participation as written in the agenda, please.
So moved.
Second,
Second, very good. Roll call vote in order, starting with Pam.
Pam Nurse Acton, yes.
Sarah Montague Arlington, yes.
Linda Herbison Bolton, yes.
Steve Ledoux, Concord, yes.
Maggie Sharndover, yes.
Charlie Cabral Lancaster, yes.
Sharon Musto Lexington, yes.
Jeff Stulen Eden, yes.
Alice Lucas Joe, yes.
Okay, there was, to my knowledge, Julia, there was no public comments submitted prior to the meeting.
That is correct.
Okay, the consent agenda. I have one minor change in the minutes. Otherwise, I think they, unless you have other things, they can be included in the consent agenda. The minor change is on March 12th, under the item consent agenda, the first paragraph did not make sense. So the addition to the first paragraph under consent agenda is Ms. Cabral requested clarification regarding the prior year's invoice included under the consent agenda items. That's all that is needed to make the paragraph make sense. So I would like a motion to accept the items, all the items, including the minutes under the consent agenda, with that one addition to the minutes, unless people have other comments on the minutes, in which case we'll take them separate.
So moved.
Second,
Well, any further discussion about any of the items under the consent agenda? And we have Sharon.
Just one tiny little typo. It says that Miss Elsie joined them meeting on the March 12th. Just remove the M and we're all good.
Great, we will do that without taking any other votes. Any other comments? Very well then, bring it to a vote. Pam?
Pam Nurse Acton, yes.
Sarah Montague Arlington, yes.
Linda Herbison Bolton, yes.
Steve Ledoux, Concord, yes.
Maggie Sharndover, yes.
Charlie Cabral Lancaster, yes.
Sharon Musto Lexington, yes.
Jeff Stulen Eden, yes.
Alice Lucas Joe, yes.
Chair's report for the good of the organization. I actually have an item under here, and it has to do with Pam. Pam was quoted in the Boston Globe. I received the online version was today on a very interesting article that we should all read. And what was this article about, Pam?
Oh my God. Jeff, you're embarrassing me. I have not seen the article.
Oh, what is it about? I did read it. It was about the odd way that choices are made with placement of kids in special education when
okay.
they need a
Bad article.
placement.
Yes.
And it's an article that covers many aspects of this. It's a very, very complicated topic. And I think that the Globe did us a great service by, whether you believe everything in it 100% or not, they did a great service by bringing the topic forward and laying out some of the issues. And Pam was quoted in it. And my view is that you should all read it. And I thank Pam for her service, that such that the Boston Globe thought that you were one of the people to call to comment on it. So that does say something, doesn't it?
Thank you very much, Jeff. The Globe has been calling about a number of stories. That's why I said I did not know that one was
Which one it was, but this one
which one it was. Yes.
This was one of the more interesting articles on challenges in education that I've seen, and something that we have to deal with as well as, you know, all other districts. And it was a very interesting article. I just got in the online edition. I don't know if it's in the newspaper until, you know, like tomorrow. Any other items for the good of the organization? Very well then, the principal's leadership report. Mr. Principal, do you have some comments for us?
Yes, I do. And I have our student representatives here too that are going to join me during this report. I was wondering if I could share my screen, whoever's in charge.
Certainly, Paul.
Thank you. Sorry, just taking a little bit, but we got it. Presentation mode. Perfect. Yes, so again, as I stated, we are going to just go over a couple things that have been happening here at Minuteman, and there's one item that,
Oh, Paul, do you want to share your other screen? This is showing us the preview screen. So we
Oh,
see two
okay.
slides at once.
Yep, let's try this again. Apologize. Oh, it keeps doing it. I'll just go through here. And we'll just go down. I think that'll work. So I'm gonna let Riley start off, our senior student representative. She's gonna talk a little bit about senior night in athletics.
Hi everyone. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about senior night. Throughout the month of October, we had several game nights to honor some of the seniors on their last night and last season of fall sports. We did something for the cheer seniors, football, girls and boys soccer, volleyball, and golf. Um, Especially for the football game, um, parents and the senior students walked out together, so we were able to honor them and their parents, and give our parents a flower. It was a really nice celebration to honor all their hard work and the years that they've spent on the fall teams throughout their high school career. So it was really nice. The seniors also got posters as well, as you might be able to see for the boys soccer team as well. But it was a really bittersweet night, especially as a senior myself. But it was a very nice night to be able to kind of honor everyone for our last season.
Thank you, Riley. And Matilda, I'm gonna have you go next with your student activities report.
Sounds good. So I just wanted to touch on one of the major student activities that happened in the month of October, which was our homecoming dance. It was a super incredible night. We had kids from all grades show up. It was a lovely way to kind of kick off the year. Since it was a fundraiser as well that goes towards all 4 grades, I wanted to touch on the incredible fundraising we did. So in total, we raised $4,400, and that means that each class was able to raise over $1,000 to go towards more student activities in the future of this year, which I think was really cool. We had an incredible DJ from the Curtis Night Entertainment program, as well as awesome teachers that were able to chaperone, and a lot of great students were able to stay after school to help set everything up to just really make it a magical night for everybody.
Yes, and I also want to add that our parent association also was helping with concessions that night as well. So I was really appreciative of everything that went into this dance, especially as you can see the decorations, transforming the student union into a great place to actually have a dance. And that's my first experience here. So I was very happy to be present and be part of that experience. Thank you, Matilda, and thank you, Riley. The final thing is actually from me that's going to require a school committee vote. We received the MCAS dates regarding when to do testing. As in high school, it's prescribed dates. In middle schools, it's a window of time, so you can go around it, but we don't have that ability. And we were looking at the dates of instruction when it came to the dates of administering the MCAS. And in order to make each work smoothly, there's a couple of dates that need to flip regarding students that are in their shop week containing to their academic week. So if you look in the March area from the 24th to the 26th, we're going to shift that week or those days to an academic day, and then finish out the rest of the week, and then the following week.
May I interrupt? An academic day for sophomores.
Yes, for sophomores. Yep.
Right.
Sorry. Yeah, so I apologize. I should have made that clear. So again, for sophomores, they would be following this academic week. And then they would be finishing out their shop week, and then also May 19th and the 21st when we're doing MCAS math. The same thing is going to occur. We counted out everything so that it's equal time and no loss of time. It just is a shift so that we can administer the test and maintain instructional time for our shop and our sophomores.
Just
So-
to note, the school committee members, we face this every year because when the MCAS dates come out, we can't change that. Sharon, is your hand up? Your little teeny bubble there, so.
Yes, it is up. So Paul, I appreciate the presentation. In looking more closely, it actually looks like it's not, unless I'm looking at an old calendar, it looks like it's not just switching those weeks. It looks like as of March, the rest of the calendar switches, and it's actually a +3 and a -3 for the two different groupings. So I'm not sure if we could maybe just take a closer look.
Yeah, so if you look actually in the August, September, we start off with 3. So that's kind of where our numbers counted out by days more than like weeks and things like that. So when I go through it, I know it's the initial look and I know it's the color change and all of that, but when you count it out, it does equal out on both sides.
All right, yeah, I just went from January till June, and as of that March switch, every week is now opposite of what it was before. So I just was counting out those, and that's where it's a +/-3. But I will admit I did not count August, September, October, November, and December. I just went from January, like moving forward, looking at the second semester. So if it's all equal, that's
Yep.
fine.
So we need a motion.
Oh, actually, I have a question first. Paul, can you clarify? We are only switching 3 dates, not the remainder of the calendar, correct?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, I just want to triple check because that
Yep.
would impact co-op and all sorts of stuff.
But it does, I mean, and again, I'm not trying to argue, like, I looked at the schedule because I was thinking about the same thing, co-op and stuff, and it looks like the calendar that I have saved has April being yellow, blue, green, blue, but this one looks like it's blue, yellow, blue, green, blue. So I just want to, maybe I'm looking at an old calendar, but I thought the one that I have that looks like it's a PDF of 24-25 looks opposite.
So Sharon, this is, you know what? This is a wonderful thing that you're bringing up. When we send this out, we are not going to send another PDF. We're going to send a link to the website so that we can remind people to stick to that website link, because when there's different PDFs out there, especially with all of us, we get drafts and things like that. We want to make sure we're using the most up to date. But even with however the vote is, we're looking for just those few dates that he has listed, and we will triple check to clean that up, that nothing else is changed.
Yeah, because
I
that was
just
my
wanna
concern for
clarify.
kids who were in co-op.
So the motion will only be to change those 3 days regardless of what is in front of us now. Is that correct? So why doesn't somebody make that motion so we can put it on the table and then we can continue our discussion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, further discussion. Alice, was your hand up?
Yeah, I think it should be clear which 3 days. So it says to adopt an academic format on March 24 to 26 and May 19th to 21. Which is that what you wanted to say?
Yes, so if you look down here in March, where these would all be blue, we're making them yellow
Yep.
for the academic week, so that where it would have been blue, 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 right now we're making it yellow, 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 so it follows an academic schedule for us to administer. And
For seniors and sophomores, yep.
yep, and then same thing here in May, 19, 20, and 21.
Okay, so the motion really should say that you're adopting an academic format for seniors and sophomores on March 24 to 26 and May 19th to 21.
Yep.
And that is the only change.
Yeah, Heidi, I did just check the link from the website and it is completely opposite, the whole remainder.
So I think what we're looking for is a vote for just those dates, period. It's really, we need to make sure that our calendar that's on the website is the one that is 5,000% correct. If the vote passes, we will update the dates that you voted on and send the calendar to the whole school committee for review before we put it on the website.
Thank you.
And we'll double check co-op and I'll make sure there's no conflict on that end either.
Not easy to change the date on the calendar, is it, in the middle of the year?
No, it's not.
No.
Thanks, MCAS.
Thank you very much for people for bringing up your comments on this to help clarify it, especially, if kids at the school and it impacts you, it's a great thing to have as a resource. Any further discussion on the motion on the table? And you have to really wave because you're in little teeny boxes. Okay, looks like we're okay. Roll call votes, starting with Pam.
Hamner Acton, yes.
Sarah Montague Arlington, yes.
Linda Herbison Bolton, yes.
Steve Ledoux, Concord, yes.
Maggie Sharndover, yes.
Charlene Cabral Lancaster, yes.
Sharon Musto, yes, as amended.
Jeff Stuhlin, yes.
And Alice DeLuca, yes. Sharon's right, it was an amendment.
I think our discussion clarifies the meaning of the motion that was made, so I'll accept
Okay.
that without going through the process.
All right.
Let's see, what was I about to say? I was about to say, so thank you, principal. Thank you, students. We always like to see what the students are actually doing so we can get a little glimpse into their day at the school. And we move on to the superintendent's leadership report. Heidi Driscoll.
Thank you. So I have several guests with me here tonight. But before I share my screen to get to my first item, earlier today, I did attend a commissioners meeting for superintendents like I do pretty regularly. And there was an interesting point that was brought up, some new information that on this Friday at 1 p.m., the Board of Elementary and Secondary Education will be having a meeting that was previously not scheduled with the topic of vocational admissions. So that is this Friday at 1 p.m. I don't know if it's in person or online or hybrid or what that looks like, but I will, however it is happening, I'll be attending with many other MAVA members. And I just wanted to make you aware of that short notice in case that impacts some of my meetings with some of you. So that's just a point of information. So now I would like to, I will be sharing my screen and I'd like to invite Diane Dempsey to share some information with all of you. Is she here? Do I see her little box?
I'm here.
Oh, hi. So many boxes today. So if you don't know, Diane Dempsey organizes graduation for us each year. And when I did my beginning survey and did all my meetings this summer, graduation was something that people loved and raved about. And so of course, Diane and I talked about graduation and why people love it. And we would like to share a proposal with all of you. So let's see. All right. All right, and this is what we're asking you. I'll hand it over to Diane.
Thanks, Heidi. Hi, everybody. So yes, as I think all of you know, we've had our graduations at the Lowell Memorial Auditorium for at least, I was looking at some old paperwork, at least since the class of 2015. And we've had really nice success there. They've been really helpful. They're super easy to work with. And this year when I met with Heidi about the next contract, because we are finishing our 1-year contract with this class of 25, Heidi and I thought about doing a longer contract with the LMA. So we're proposing a 5-year contract this year. And we decided to do a cost analysis on having our graduation at Minuteman, because that question has come up a few times now with the new fields. So we did a cost analysis on site. We got proposals from a number of different companies, and we thought we would present it to you all, again, for your vote to see which proposal you would prefer. My opinion is I think we're in the early stages of looking at something here on campus based on our facilities currently, but we wanted to give an actual cost analysis. So if we were to consider hosting it here on campus for fiscal year 25, the cost would be approximately $27,000. And we broke it down, as you can see, by the restroom facilities we would need to rent, a stage rental with tent. To clarify, that tent is only covering the stage because that's required by the rental company for an outdoor stage, is to have a tent over it. That wouldn't be a tent for the graduates, say. The chairs, the Minuteman cost for the facilities maintenance staff for setup is listed. We would need a security detail. And then the AV equipment we would need is beyond what we have the capacity currently on site. Additionally, obviously, weather plays a big factor in hosting it on site. We talked about a rain date, and then what would happen if there was a potential rain out weekend? Would we have to go indoors? And space availability would be an issue. So at that point, we would have to limit the number of guests that each graduate could invite, which is not something we do currently at the LMA. And of course, first Friday in June, you never know what the weather and the heat would be. So we've all appreciated, I think, the air conditioning at the LMA on certain dates. And then we also had an issue with parking on campus. So we would need a satellite parking. We thought about up at Cranberry Hill, but then we would also need someone or multiple people to, transport our guests from that parking lot to the fields. So we looked at all of that. Obviously, that's time, logistics, money. So again, for fiscal year 25 is about $27,000. Then obviously we now have a proposal from the LMA for a 5-year deal. So Heidi and I were able to actually give real costs. So it's $7,800 for fiscal year 25. There's a question on the parking, because we have been paying for a validation, and it's approximately $15 per car. Again, that would be something we would look to you all to see if we continue to still pay that fee. So we've gone and looked at the 5-year estimate, and even in our 5th year, it's a little bit under $11,000. That doesn't include the parking. We're not sure exactly how much the parking might increase. That's the city of Lowell versus LMA is where we get that parking from. Obviously, having it indoors is no impact with the weather. There's facilities on site, plenty of restrooms, handicap accessible, air conditioned. And, for those reasons, we just wanted to present this to you all and just look at what your input might be. Again, with this company, we really just walk in with our graduates. We're responsible to bring the kids, the diplomas, and we put the show on there, and they're really easy to work with. So none of the facilities, our maintenance guys would be responsible for anything if we were to continue at the LMA. So I think that wraps that up. If we're going to ask you all for your feedback on that in a vote. And again, I think Heidi and I talked about the parking, not necessarily needing a vote, but just getting your input on continuing to fund that for these years. Or if you would prefer that we have self-pay and not validate the cars, that's certainly up for you all to think about, but we would ask that you vote for a 5-year contract with the LMA. Alice.
Thank you,
Alice.
Diane.
I'd like to make a motion so we can put it on the table to approve the contract with the Lowell Memorial Auditorium for graduation for the period 2026 to 2030.
Second.
Okay, discussion.
I think it's a great facility. I've been there as a parent and then last year as a member of school committee up on the stage, and I feel like the team has the whole agenda running like clockwork. I like the fact that it could accommodate different sizes of families and friends. It's easy to get to. I think it's a great place.
So Alice's hand up.
I've been to a lot of graduations, both on the fields, with tents, without tents, in the rain, and also at the Lowell Auditorium. And the case has been made by Diane for me. Air conditioning and global warming, it's all over.
Other comments?
Yeah.
From Maggie.
Yeah, I really appreciate the thoughtfulness with which Diane, you and the team went through this analysis. As one of the people that was curious about an outdoor graduation with this campus, I think that your analysis makes it very clear that this is a better idea, and I'm very much in the if it's not broken, don't fix it category. And I just want to say thank you. I haven't been to one in person, but I've had a chance to watch a couple of them on the YouTube, and you guys just do a wonderful job with graduation. I just want to say thank you.
Other comments? Charlene, no, her hand is not up. My comment is that the few times I've been there at this auditorium, I don't like driving there, but the event is terrific. And the facility matches our needs extremely, extremely well. So I'm pretty happy with this. There's no further discussion. Bring it to a vote. Pam.
Pam Nurse Acton, yes.
Sarah Montague, Arlington, yes.
Linda Herbison Bolton, yes.
Steve Ledoux, Concord, yes.
Maggie Sharon Dover, yes.
Charlene Cabral Lancaster, yes.
Sharon Musto, Lexington, yes.
Jeff Stulen Needham, yes.
Alice Lucas, yes.
Okay, very good. So thank you for bringing it up, and thank you, Diane, for your work on this, and for some very excellent graduations, in which I think the kids appreciate them too.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Diane.
All right.
We're gonna talk about the parking or not?
Do you want some overall feedback? I'd say depending on how much it costs, we should validate it for the parents.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that there's so much going on, and the parking attendants that are there really need to keep people moving in. And I think just would tie up traffic even more with parking passes or whatever. So I think it's a nice touch for the families.
I don't think we have to vote or make that decision today, but my view is that we should continue to pay for it, and I guess that's kind of feedback you were looking for. I don't see anybody disagreeing with that.
Hey, Jeff, we don't actually need a vote for it, but we were just looking for your feedback.
Totally support it. I like the idea that we host people for graduation and don't make them pay for the carload.
Yep, totally agree.
I think
They
parents
go through
who
a couple of
had a
drive-ins
previous,
up the park, right?
parents who had a previous child graduate and know that we used to do it would feel cheated if we didn't. So I definitely support paying for it.
All right. So there we go. Thank you for reminding us of that. Heidi Driscoll, we're not done with you tonight. So
I know. All right, let me put my slide deck back up. Okay, I am still in the information and data gathering phase of my entry plan. Starting, actually my plans will be changed this Friday, but starting as soon as this Friday, possibly, I will be visiting each separate area or department with the lead for a tour and almost like a day in the life. So I can visit every classroom, I can see what works, I can see what doesn't work, and get a personal face-to-face tour instead of just reading information from all of our sources. So something that has already come up is that people really want the public to know about what we do in our vocational programs and in our academic classrooms. So under the area of enhancing communication, which is one of my goals, I have two wonderful teachers and leads who are with us here tonight, or additional leads who are here with us tonight, who are going to share with you what we think our catchy title will be a college and career highlight. So today, Sarah, Art, and Greg Donovan will be sharing everything that they would like to highlight when it comes to college and career. Giving information about our different pathways and about our academic areas is kind of like having someone sip water through a fire hose. So what Sarah and Greg did was a really nice job, I feel like, as hopefully models for other departments as they come through. And they want to give you a picture, even though we can't walk through all of them, of some of the highlights that we as a school district are very proud of when it comes to preparing our students, not only for college, but for their future careers. So I have everybody in tiny little small boxes. So Sarah.
Hello.
All right, I'm going to hand it over to Sarah. So welcome, and I will scroll through whenever you're ready.
I'm ready. Hello, everyone.
Hi, Sarah.
So, my name's Sarah Ard. I'm the lead for the Life Sciences pathway, and I'm going to take you through what that looks like. So we're made up of 4 departments: biotechnology, environmental science and technology, horticulture and plant science, and our newest program, veterinary science. This right here, this is just a small representation of how diverse life science is as a pathway. So STEM within life sciences is vast and spans various disciplines, as you can see. The interdisciplinary nature of our programs allows us to study everything from looking at development of vaccines and biotech to advancing sustainable agriculture and studying ecosystems. Next. So shown here, this is a picture of Oliver Lorenz from Arlington. He's a biotechnology student. He's dissolving a solution as part of a workshop with the Advanced Regenerative Manufacturing Institute, or ARMI. It's a workshop that comes in and they do a lot of work with stem cells. So our students are getting hands-on training from them in our shop. This is another picture of what the Army group brings in. So it's pre-prepared for industry. They have hearts and kidneys of different animals so that the students can look at stem cell development. A little bit about Army is they're a nonprofit organization, and they're focused on advancing the field of biofabrication and regenerative medicine. So our students in biotech are working with them to learn how to develop and scale technologies for manufacturing replacement tissues and organs, which as an 11th, 10th, 11th, 12th grader, this is groundbreaking for STEM. This particular group is funded by the Department of Defense. So they actually are looking at, part of their mission is actually working with academia and students and getting them into furthering their STEM interest and showing them the different areas that they can go into using our labs. So this is a picture of our environmental science students. Believe it or not, a lot of people don't know this, but we actually have 2 plots on the Minuteman campus that our Minuteman environmental students maintain. And what those are in the Harvard Forestry Museum database. So the students are using GIS and some other different statistics that they upload regularly to keep this database up to date on our property. Students are also learning about GIS, which is huge right now in the field of environmental science, as a means to combat climate change. And the students are also working on drinking water and wastewater operating certification training, which would get them step 2 in going into the wastewater treatment plants as a job. Here's more training in the field. So we have students in environmental science at the Salem Beach, going out examining coastal and saltwater ecosystems. They learn how to measure the erosion on the beach, as well as look at invasive species of crabs and fish, which are in our waterways. Here's Angie Lazarova from Arlington. She's one of our vet science students. This is her working at a clinic in Dedham, the Dedham Veterinary Clinic, getting hands-on clinical experience. So here she's checking for an ear infection. The students go out every other week to get hours towards their certified veterinary technician license. So this is a picture from our horticulture and plant science program. Some of the things that they're working on is currently Gaining Ground Farm in Concord, which is a nonprofit farm. 100% of the produce that they grow, they actually give away to nonprofits, to food pantries in our area. They produce over 20,000 pounds of produce every year. They recently took on a new property, which is owned by the National Park Service. It's a 6-acre property. I forget the road that it's on, but what they're doing is they're using regenerative agriculture and they're rehabbing the land. They're going to be using it on a 5-year lease, hoping to go longer than that. And that will be part of the 250th Battle Road anniversary coming up in April. So they're going to be having a past president actually come to that property to look and see what regenerative agriculture is doing in the parks. And they will be having a past president come as part of that. One of the really exciting things about that is the Secretary of the Interior is actually looking at this site as a model going further in national parks across the country. There's also, on top of the building, there's a rooftop garden area that is, we're just starting it now, but we're going to be growing more produce up there for the student union. And there is right now in the greenhouse, we're growing quite a bit of produce, but we're going to be adding to that so that our food service can use more local, hyper local actually, produce in our salad bar. And like all the other shops in our department, horticulture also attends a lot of industry conferences to meet with industry professionals as well as university researchers to learn, the newest trends and what's happening in the STEM field of agriculture. In our newest program, veterinary science, we're coming up on our 4th year. So students are right now, they're preparing to take the veterinary science career development event, which is part of FFA. So they're going to be competing against other veterinary science programs in the state. They're also gearing up to be the first class to take the certified veterinary assistant exam, which is what they've been getting their clinical hours towards. And we're also hopefully in the final stages of solidifying the pet daycare business that will be happening. So that will be mostly dogs. The students will get clinical hands-on time on campus, doing different techniques on the animals that they would normally have to do at clinical. And let's see. Oh, and our first graduating class is coming through, which is really exciting. This is a lot on this slide, but as far as cooperative education, it's really vast. Our students are all over the place doing a lot of really cool things. I think this list is really impressive. This is just the tip of the iceberg. So this is just some of the places that they're at currently and that they were at last year. And we have a lot of our juniors are gearing up to go out on co-op in early February as soon as they're eligible. And I think the important thing to note about co-op is all of the jobs that you see here, the students have had to actively go out and get themselves. So the teachers help them. Christina Jusin, our co-op director, also assists them. But for the most part, it's the students sometimes cold calling, sometimes, asking a teacher if they know someone, asking a friend of the family if they know someone. And then they have to do a formal interview. And believe it or not, we have students at UMass Medical, MIT, the town DPWs. We have them at different tree companies, all different animal clinics. So everyone across the board is hiring our students, and then they're actually asking for them back. And the best part is our seniors that are out now, the co-op employers are asking for a junior to come on the alternating weeks. So, within life science, we have an FFA chapter. So, as most of you know, all of the students in the building are Skills USA members. But if you're in life sciences, you're also enrolled as an FFA member, which is formerly Future Farmers of America. But as you've seen, agriculture is much more than farming now. So FFA is the oldest student organization in the country, as well as the largest. We have a very active chapter. It's similar to Skills in that it hosts events and competitions that highlight life science skills. Throughout the school year and at state conventions, students can compete in numerous events. This is a picture of our officer team meeting with the Secretary of Education.
Oh,
So you can see
that's actually the commissioner.
Commissioner, thank you. We've had a lot of visitors over the past few weeks.
Yeah.
As you can see, our officer team is pretty diverse. It's made up of students from all of our programs and a lot of our different towns. This is a picture to give you an idea. This is from the 2021 FFA National Convention, which was held in Indianapolis. Since it's the largest student organization in the country, they usually host over 70,000 students for the national convention. Our Minuteman students from our chapter went, and we actually represented the state of Massachusetts in what's called the Hall of States. So every state has basically a table set up, a display of their agriculture, and Minuteman was one for Massachusetts. So we got to go and represent ourselves among all 50 states, as well as Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Virgin Islands. All right, so that was a lot of information, but hopefully it gave you a good spotlight on our academy and a little into what we do. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out.
Any questions or comments, school committee members, other than?
No, but thank you, Sarah.
Yourself.
You're welcome.
Charlene.
I just wanted to say that I really appreciated that presentation. I'm a new parent at Minuteman, and it's always very interesting to find out what everybody's doing. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Alice DeLuca.
I appreciate this too. I talked to a lot of people, and the past couple of months, somebody asked me if we had FFA. Now I can talk more clearly about what FFA is at Minuteman, and I'm very happy to hear about it. Thank you.
Darren.
Yeah, I loved that presentation, and I wish that we could get more of that information out to the public, because you have all these parents on Facebook and different things, 8th graders being like, oh, we're debating between Minuteman and public school, who's got ideas? And I just think that they still don't know all the amazing things that happen at Minuteman. And I would love to find a way to get that out there more, because it's incredible. So thank you.
I think that presentation would blow the minds of a lot of people in our communities.
Yes. Especially when they say, well, we think they want to go to college. I'm like, they can go to college from Minuteman.
Do we eventually put these out on YouTube or anything? Is there a way to make the portions of this meeting that are like those presentations like available as like a clip that we could share with interested families.
I think that would be an excellent idea to take the clip of that presentation and to put it on our website or to use it in our communications and marketing to our towns. So they could do that, or she could do a special one just for that purpose. But the clip from the meeting is probably good enough.
So Maggie, I appreciate that point very much. Currently, when it comes to photographs and videos, I think we haven't updated since pandemic times, essentially. So we do need some fresh professional videos, photographs, and so point duly noted.
No, I mean, honestly, like, I think the thing is, like, I don't want to, like, as much as it would be awesome if that was like such a like, woo, graphics and everything, great. But I loved the detail in there. I loved the specifics, the like, this is actually what people do. So if we do go down the more professional route for those kind of videos, like, just let's not like, let's keep them kind of detailed, because that's where it really makes an impact.
And I love what you just said. This is what people do. So that's why we have our leads here, because that's what we want to show. And Greg has been patiently waiting. And Greg is going to show you what people do in English. And I hope I share his presentation appropriately. Let me see here.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome, Greg.
I want to congratulate Sarah. She had to do 4 times the work that I had to do because I only have one major, and that's English. So
Thanks,
congratulations.
Greg. He thought he was going first. He thought he was going to get it easy.
Yeah, I kind of wish that I was going first after that.
All right, let me see here. Oh, look at that, Greg. I've been waiting with bated breath to make this work. Does it look okay?
Yep, I'm going to request control if you don't mind.
Approved.
So hopefully this works now. Okay, everybody.
Oh, you would need
okay.
to share yourself then.
You want me to share myself?
Yep.
I apologize for my dog. Can you see my screen?
No. Not yet.
Okay, sec.
There it goes.
Okay, you can see my screen now. Presentation.
There it is. Perfect.
Okay, we're off and running, everybody. So again, I only have 1/4 of the information that Sarah does, okay? So hopefully I won't suffer by comparison. So what I decided to focus on is how the English department is supporting college and career readiness. And we're not going to give you everything. We'll give you one sampling of that. And the main sampling is what's going on in the juniors class right now, and that's with the resume. And what we're doing junior year, we've set a goal for the department of having 100% of our juniors to have resumes by the December break. And that's the really key. And the target of December is for a reason, which you'll see momentarily. And the team of teachers that we're going to be doing that with are Ms. Anderson, and here she is working with some of her students. Mr. Gerard is also part of this team and working on the resumes and areas with his students. Mr. Sharon, and you can actually see the picture on the left, he's actually working on the summary section of his resume with his students, and myself, but I'm not putting my picture up there yet. So it's coming. The department, what we do is a lot of the writing that we're working on is coming from this John Collins writing system, which was brought in years ago by Bill Blake. Some of you probably remember Bill Blake's name. And last year, there's the picture of me. Last year, we were actually able to bring John Collins back to the school for a bit of a reboot, because we've had a lot of teachers come into the building over the last couple of years, both academically and in the vocational area. And the reason we wanted to do a bit of a reboot is because the skills that go on in this writing, the language that we use in this writing, they're all transferable. And it's really important that the vocational areas and the academic areas kind of have a common language when we start to go through writing within the building. And obviously with resumes, what we're dealing with is lots and lots of drafts. Those are my actual corrected papers. They have lots of red ink, too much red ink. And part of the John Collins writing system, I won't go into all the different levels of it, but the type 5, which is the final one, the one that we, in many cases, don't get to as often because it's referred to as what's called publishable. This is something, a document that the students produce that we would be proud of, and they would be proud of to hand out to a professional. And in this case, this is a student who produced a resume here from Stowe. And you can see, it showcases, I'll give you a close-up of a different one in a second, but it's a very professional-looking document. It's a very publishable document. And here's one that kind of dovetails with what Sarah did. This is a highlight of one section of the resume for our newest major, the veterinary science. And you can just see all the various areas that this resume is showcasing that these students have learned by the time they're in their junior year. The various headings that you can see: animal restraint, animal anatomy and physiology, surgical and nursing, hospital management procedures, animal examination, husbandry, Dean Thon, medical terminology, the various tools, and a vast list of certifications. So it's a vocational major that is really very technical in the way it presents things. And just to continue, because we always have to be forward thinking, what are we looking forward to here as a department? One of the things we're looking forward to, and the reason we set that target date of December, is because we have our college fair coming up probably late January. They're finalizing the dates right now. And at that college fair, the students, especially our juniors, will have the opportunity to potentially hand out some of these resumes to get this jump start on college, which is just a great way to showcase what they're learning already. Because in many cases, what they're learning is equally as valuable as what's going on in a college career as well. The other thing we have an eye towards the future on is co-op placement, because a lot of our juniors will be heading towards co-op in the second half of the year. And that gets going in February. So having these resumes in place, again, to give out to prospective employers really sets them up for future success. And there's I don't know why I have the double college fair, my apologies there. The Exploring the CTE 360, this is a job readiness website that we use here at school that helps them with co-op placement. So they'll be able to look and compare the skills that the employer is looking for with the skills that they're showcasing on their resumes themselves. At the end of this year, because we want them to understand that resume building is an organic thing, we want them to understand that at the end of the year, we're going to revisit these resumes to revamp them, to add more certifications if they've earned them, to add in some cases drop jobs that they might have had in the course of the school year. And maybe they're out on co-op and we can add that as a placement piece. But it's important that they start to understand that the resumes themselves are very organic and they have to keep updating them. And eventually, at the beginning of next year, they'll start to think about putting these into their senior portfolios. Again, hopefully at the beginning of next year, based on what they did in the summer, they'll revamp them again and just keep embracing this idea that I need to keep continually updating things based on my knowledge base. And that's a real quick look at everything. That's some information to reach out to me and various pieces that I have here at school. See if I can figure out how to unshare. Or you can maybe unshare me. Yeah, escape. Can you unshare me there?
I can try, or Julia can.
Oh, okay. I won't take it personally.
Oh, wait, let me see. There we
You're
go.
right. Now I can stop sharing.
You're all set.
Great.
Thank you. Great job, Greg.
Thank you.
Comments or questions, school committee members? Alice.
Once again, great presentation and a great reminder of why Minuteman is best. And that's it.
When
So
teaching computer
I
science,
would like to, oh, go ahead.
when
I'd like to
teaching
make a
computer
comment for
science-
Greg, if you don't mind. Greg was under tremendous pressure because I was an English teacher. And this was the first time we're working together closely. So I felt tremendous sympathy for Greg because I just couldn't be more impressed with the work that he and his department are doing. And I don't know if you commented or could hear, excuse me, him make the comment about transferable skills. That is something that I feel like we at Minuteman do very well, help students understand those transferable skills and why they're so urgent. That's not the case everywhere. So thank you for pointing it out, Greg. And I'm sorry, Jeff, I got so excited.
That is exactly the comment I was going to make, because when teaching computer science in Newton South High School for many years, a lot of those kids are in computer science to escape the dreaded writing or presentations or whatnot. And when they get me, they get the discussion. In order to be successful in any career path, you have to be able to communicate, you have to give presentations, you just can't be a nerd, a techno nerd. So we have that very long discussion, and it's the first time they've heard it, some of those kids. The first time they've ever heard it, because it is not part of the general discussion there. Yes, they have writing, a lot of writing. Writing is important, but getting the idea that the writing, presentation, communication is as important to their career path as the skills that they have is an idea that is new to many of them. They see for the first time with me, and that's not the way it should be. So I'm very happy to see that. I know that you talk about that a lot here at Minuteman, and it is a great benefit to these children. Sharon.
Yeah, and I just think the part where you were showing about how you've really encouraged all of the students to put all of their certifications on there. I mean, that just makes our students shine compared to their peers, because what other 16, 17, 18-year-old kid has the certifications that our kids do? And even as a parent, when I looked at my own son's resume, I'm like, you have all those certifications? Like, I didn't even know half that he had. I was like, wow, you learned all that? So
Maybe you
I
just
just
made
think,
them up and put them on there. Who knows?
no, I saw the certificates that they made them print out, but like, it's just, it's incredible. And so that the fact that they can market themselves that way is great. So thank you for doing that skill. It's so important.
Any other comments, questions, school community? Very well. Yes, I have Charlene.
I was just going to say that I appreciate the details. Sometimes as a parent, you kind of struggle to figure out what people are doing and in the schools, and knowing that this presentation you explained exploring the CTE 360 job ready, the John Collins writing. I mean, those kind of details are not always available at every school, and I appreciate that you are all giving us these types of details. So thank you.
I'd like to point something out about the John Collins writing. That is a very explicit system where very rarely do teachers get to level 5, publishable. And to hear that Minuteman is actually going through the full writing process to teach students the purpose is to have writing that can be used to communicate, that is to be shared with others. I couldn't be more impressed. I again, as an English teacher who is very passionate about writing, I was thrilled to learn that and see that myself. And I'm not sure which of you or who, I don't know if I gave it to everyone or to certain groups, but if you remember when I went through my very public interview process, I had a document called A History of Commitment. And it went in reverse chronological order. And the very last letter of recommendation in that document, because I'm sure you all read the whole thing, was a letter of recommendation for college from my high school English teacher. And I went to a vocational high school. And my English teacher, John Sullivan, who I love, who I had junior and senior year, did exactly the same thing. My resume didn't look as good in high school as the one Greg just shared, but did exactly the same thing that we do here. And that what he talked about, revisiting the resume, that is something that I have done since high school because of my high school English teacher. And I hope he knows, and all the English teachers know, that I do believe these are true skills that end up impacting people for years beyond their high school experience. So I'm going to actually give Greg a copy of that book. So he'll be like, oh my gosh, people will make these 25 years from now. But thank you so much, Greg. And thank you, Sarah. I hope that these will be models that we can use so we can have presentations in the future that are super focused on what's actually happening in classrooms. And we talk more about what we do instead of just sort of philosophies. So thank you for going first, Sarah and Greg, and I appreciate all of your wonderful questions. And I see Katie and Samantha here. Please don't think you're off the hook. We'll absolutely have both of you present many times, I'm sure. Just we're gonna spread the wealth a little bit. So thank you for coming. And Jeff, are there any other questions? I think that's the end of my leadership report.
I was about to say, I think that's the end of I got one from Pam right there.
Hi, and I just also want to say how much I really enjoyed all of these presentations. Heidi, going back to where you started, only because I had something that just came across my desk today about the meeting that you had talked about on Friday with the Board of Education on career technical admissions. That is a virtual meeting that's going to be live streamed. And then there's another one on Monday, which will be their third session that will also be live streamed at 5 o'clock on Monday.
So Monday night is a study session. Friday is an actual board meeting, to my understanding. But once I get that information, I will make sure that I send it forward to all of you and to, like I did last time, to anybody else who may be interested in receiving that information. Thank you, Pam. I do recommend we all attend in any capacity possible.
Very well, moving on. We have a very, very exciting finance report with Steve this evening.
Well, it won't be exciting as the last. It won't be as exciting as the last presentation. The Finance Committee met on October 21st and November 4th. Most of the things we discussed are actually on the agenda to be discussed in a minute. However, a couple things. One, the committee did approve their goals for this fiscal year, which I think will be in front of the school committee at another time. And we got our very, very preliminary view of the FY. I'm gonna get this right. 26 budget. That number just scares the hell out of me. But at any rate, so it's, you know, we don't want to really talk about that now because it was just really departmental requests, and the superintendent will be taking her time to present her recommendations early in December. Just one thing that I thought was interesting as we looked at the preliminary numbers, and it's on the revenue side, and Nikki, correct me if I'm wrong, but we are actually going to have a little more in out-of-district tuition than we anticipated, because you know, after all the acceptances and were given out, we actually had more out-of-district kids accept admission than we thought. So kind of that issue and the problem we've been talking about just going to get kicked down the can's just going to get kicked down the road a little bit. But any rate, we'll be getting deep into the budget in about a couple more weeks. So, you know, stay tuned. And with that, I'll turn it over to Nikki for the rest of the agenda from the finance folks.
Yeah, and just
excuse me, if you are not talking, then please put yourself on mute. There's been some feedback going on for some of us. Thanks.
And just to follow up on Steve's comment about the tuition and the capital fee, we will see a slight decrease, but what we did see in enrollment this year was that we did graduate 19 out-of-district seniors, and we did accept the exact same number, 19 freshmen. So what we will see for our assessment, our revenue that's able to offset our member town assessments is that will stay consistent, and it won't drop as much as we have anticipated. But we will turn our focus to the agenda items, and we will bring to you further budget discussions once myself and Superintendent Driscoll have gone through the detail and the department requests with a little more fine-tooth comb. So I will share my screen. And am I correct in that the first item is a prior year invoices?
Yes.
That's correct.
So we have two prior year invoices to bring to Minuteman School Committee for their attention and approval. These were presented to the Finance Committee. Anything that comes to the business office that isn't within this fiscal year does require school committee approval to be paid. So those will come to our school committees. So there are two invoices. One is for our school doctor. The secretary, unfortunately, when she was billing us for this year, realized she forgot to bill us for last year. So they had submitted that invoice and for the amount of $4,700. And they're asking for approval for us to pay that. Second is a invoice to Codman Community Farms. Unfortunately, there was a little error when they went on their June 24 field trip, the animal science program. They did a guided farm tour, but someone wasn't there to take their payment. They thought it had been charged, but it ended up not being charged. So they're following up now for a $300 bill for that field trip. So I'm asking for permission and authorization to pay the two noted prior year invoices.
So can I have a motion to pay these two invoices?
I'll make the motion to approve these prior year invoices, and just a note that the Finance Committee did unanimously recommend them.
Second.
Discussion, anybody? Roll call vote, Pam?
Hamner Saxton, yes.
Sarah Montague, Arlington, yes.
Linda Herbison Bolton, yes.
Steve Ledoux, Concord, yes.
Maggie Sharndover, yes.
Charlene Cabral Lancaster, yes.
Sharon Musto Lexington, yes.
Jeff Stulen Needham, yes.
Alice DeLuca Stowe, yes. Question.
Go right ahead.
I think the school physician requires eventually the school committee to approve that position. And I don't recall really doing it recently, and I don't think it's important, but it is something I think they left over in the law, so we probably should at some point.
That is also my understanding, yep. Okay, next item.
So, really in a tough position here because you guys had some great student reports. So I'm going to, I bet you're all thinking, didn't we just do this with our June 30th reports? But we are already through our first quarter of the school year, and I'm here to present our September 30th reports. You will have a break from me while we work on the budget, and then we'll present, our second quarter reports around February. So bear with me while we go through the numbers again. So as far as where we are starting off here, this is our general fund report. I've noted to you in the past that we have our function codes here. These are the DESE function codes that we have to report out at the end of the year. And that's how our chart of accounts is created. What we have here is the sum of our budget. That's what the school committee approves by function code. Any adjustments, and then what it looks like, the budget looks like in our general ledger system. Any expenses that have been paid to date, year to date. An encumbrance is a purchase order that was approved but has yet to be paid, or expected payments on salary through the year. And that brings us to our ending balance. So what I am bringing to you tonight is showing you what our budget was, the 31.5 million. So far we've spent just shy of 6 million. And we have 22 million encumbered, leaving our balance of about 3 million, which is a little over, I believe it's the 10%. So we look here to see how our ending balances are.
most of our function codes are in good standing. And we will be coming to the school committee tonight for a budget transfer for these two lines in particular. Our other non-employee insurance line, we had some insurances that had gone over budget. In this line in particular with our school building and our cybersecurity insurance, what we will be presenting to you is a transfer from our insurance program, so still within the same category. We are seeing some savings in what was voted for our health insurance versus what we had budgeted. They actually voted a 0% increase. So we will be presenting and asking for approval to move money from our function code 5200 to our other non-employee insurance line. And our second deficit that you'll see on this report is in function code 7200, which is acquisition and improvement of buildings. We had budgeted some money in our acquisition of improvement of equipment. We are asking for a transfer to that line. In that line is to help fund our capital plan that the capital planning committee has looked at and assessing the building for long-term planning going forward. So I'm happy to answer any questions on this report, or we can go to our summary memo and ask for the approval for the votes.
Nikki, I'm going to ask the same question I asked you in the FinCom meeting.
Sure.
This first quarter report is pretty much as expected and is typical for the first quarter, and there's nothing untoward in it at all.
Absolutely. It is in good standing. You know what I anticipate seeing for the next quarter report, maybe us looking at some additional expenses that we have surrounding homeless and foster care and potentially special education transportation. Since September 30th, we have seen an increase in those. So that's one item that I will see in our, I would expect to bring up in our next second quarter, December 31st report to the school committee.
Steve, did you have a comment?
No, I was going to make a motion if it's appropriate at this point.
Well, the motion would be for the next item, which I think she's going to show the slide for the transfers.
Oh, okay, all right.
So now you can make the motion and then we can discuss it.
Okay, thanks. I would move that the school committee approve the two budget transfers as presented. The finance committee did review this last week and unanimously recommended its approval.
Second.
Very good. Okay, Nikki.
So as we had mentioned in the report, all the accounts were in good standing. Per our policy, any transfer over $10,000 between function codes is presented for approval to the school committee. So as I had summarized before, we will be requesting the reclassification essentially of insurances from health insurance to our other non-employee insurance, which covers our building, and between the buildings and equipment to cover our long-term capital plan report.
Questions or comments? My guess is that the report is going to be well worth the $26,500. And the insurance, we had some damage in the building, which is one of the reasons why one of our insurances went up, as well as, of course, the focus this year on cybersecurity would require some more insurance. So those were the major reasons, I believe, why we have those insurance increases. So. Very well then, roll call vote, Pam.
Pam Acton, yes.
Sarah Montague Arlington, yes.
Linda Herbison Bolton, yes.
Steve Ledoux, Concord, yes.
Maggie Sharon Dover, yes.
Charlene Cabral Lancaster, yes.
Sharon Musto Lexington, yes.
Jeff Stuland Needham, yes.
Alice Lucas Joe, yes.
Okay, two more exciting items.
Our next report is our revolving report. Again, that as I kind of mentioned before, these are accounts that continue to revolve. So the ending balances from the year prior move forward, and they give us a beginning balance, which you'll see in this column. We have revenues and projected revenues, as well as expenses and encumbrances, similar to our general fund report, and then projections for year end. So overall, you'll see everything is in good standing. We don't have any deficit accounts at this point. For function code 11 for our summer school, we did have some expenses that were paid out over the summer, but we collect majority of our revenue in June. So that's why this beginning balance is a little bit bigger, and you aren't seeing much revenue in that line. Our MTI program, we've have some projected revenue and expenses based on enrollment to show that they will be ending in good standing, and we'll continue to meet on that and track that as the students progress throughout the year. Our facility revolving account, we did have projected revenue through the first quarter only. Michelle Resendez, our director of operations, did a detailed analysis. I would expect that based on this item, we're on target, similar to last year, as far as the revenue we'll be expecting in our athletic field account to cover both our athletic field reserve and our facility debt reserve. Our trades accounts are all in good standing. Our director of CTE, Katie Bouchard, has brought up to me that there will be a request in the upcoming future to add an additional account for DVC and animal science. DVC would like to start selling some of the products that they make with graphics, and our animal science program will hopefully be starting their doggy daycare soon. So that may be an item that we bring up in a future school committee for a vote to approve those. We will be approving all of the other ones on this report today.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yep. Our remaining accounts are our capital fee items and our out-of-district tuition. These are the items in the amounts, the projected amounts that you'll see that we will offset our FY26 budget with. So we have our operating budget, and then we use this revenue to offset what our member town assessments will be, so that our member towns don't have to pay as much money. And that is the fees that we collect from our out-of-district students. And last but not least, our food service program. We had paid out a bit of expenses, however, haven't received much of the federal revenue yet. So once we get that revenue in our system and in our bank account, we'll certainly update that. So that is a quick summary on our revolving fund report, and happy to answer any questions.
So we do have a vote to make. I want to be clear that the vote is not on the numbers in this report. The vote is that we are supposed to vote on approve all the revolving funds themselves as proof that the school committee understands what revolving funds that they have. So the motion that we're going to ask for is to approve all the revolving funds as presented. So why don't we put that on the table, and then we can ask all of our questions about the report and about the.
I will move that, Mr. Chair, and also note the Finance Committee recommends.
Seconded.
Okay, so any questions about the report itself or about any of the revolving funds that we are voting to approve? And as was mentioned, we may have a couple to add in the near future, but not tonight. I see no hands. So move to the roll call vote. Pam?
Pam Nurse-Acton, yes.
Sarah Montague Arlington, yes.
Linda Herbison Bolton, yes.
Steve Ledoux Concord, yes.
Maggie Sharon Dover, yes.
Charlene Cabral Lancaster, yes.
Sharon Musto, Lexington, yes.
Jeff Stuland Needham, yes.
Alice DeLuca, Stowe, yes, and always happy to vote for World Bee Day.
Next item.
All right. Last but not least, our student activity report. So as I've noted before, the student activity funds are funds that the students fundraise. You'll see here the account number, the fund name, and the advisor. We will be emailing this out for transparency to all the advisors so they're aware of their balances. So it's recommended by the auditors to present this to the school committee every quarter. We have our beginning fund balances, any revenue that they've earned through September 30th, and projected revenue. And from the student activity presentation from the students, I hear quite a bit more money is going to be coming through, it looks like. So expenditures through 9/30 and encumbrances. So all remain in good standing. You will again vote we're asking for your vote, and it's an audit recommendation to vote on all of the student activity accounts. Special note that we do have one new account, the class of 2028. So we do anticipate every year you voting for that one new account in your vote of all votes.
So could I have a motion to approve all the student activity funds as presented?
So moved, and once again recommended by the Finance Committee.
Second.
Yes, again, we're voting the accounts, we're not voting the report, we're voting that we know that these are the student activity accounts and that we're just lucky to have a very simple, clear report that shows everything on one page, which is very exciting. Any questions on this report on the categories that we have that we were about to vote for? Very well, then bring it to a vote. Pam.
Pam Acton, yes.
Sarah Montague, Arlington, yes.
Linda Herbison Bolton, yes.
Steve Ledoux, Concord, yes.
Maggie Sharon Dover, yes.
Charlene Cabral Lancaster, yes.
Sharon Musto, Lexington, yes.
Jeff Stuland, Eden, yes.
Alice DeLuca, Stowe, yes.
Very good. And Steve, is that the end of this evening's finance report?
Yes, it is, Mr. Chair.
Okay, very exciting for me. I like the finance stuff. Okay, subcommittee reports. We have the legislative subcommittee. Charlene, what do you have?
Hello. Not too much to report today. We did send out those 2 letters. One was for the extension of the remote participation to the governor and several local politicians, elected officials from our towns. Didn't get any response from that, wasn't really expecting to. The letter regarding the MCAS vote of the Mass Association of School Committees did get us a response, and I believe everyone's had an opportunity to take a look at that. I believe also I spoke with the new Division 8. Division 8 is the Mass Association of School Committees division for Voc Tech Education, and there was a election last week at the MASC / MASS joint conference for the new leadership this year. And to report back, the new leadership would be the president will be Charlie Ellis, the vice will be Lynn Ryan, and the secretary Tracy Stewart. Charlie Ellis also discussed our letter with me personally, and he said he was appreciative of our letter, that a lot of people want to make things more clear, more transparent, and that they appreciated that we were keeping our eyes and ears open with what MASC is doing, as well as just general things in the Voc Tech world. I will write a report for the future about the conference that I attended last week, but for now, I'll just say that it was a very interesting conference, and there was a lot about the upcoming discussion of the lottery and other admissions procedures for VOC schools. So that's something that I anticipate that we're going to be working on in the future. And we will be setting up a meeting soon. I will speak to Linda, hopefully after this meeting, to schedule a time for a legislative subcommittee meeting in the very near future.
Any questions or comments on the report by Charlene? And yes, we have a Heidi comment. Heidi is on mute. Still on mute.
Thank you. Had to double click there. I wanted to give a little bit of information that just came to me with Pam's comment. It is actually an additional study session, which is odd. That's not what they said out loud at the meeting, but you are right. So there will be a study session Friday at 1 and another study session Monday in the evening. And the actual board meeting will still be at Holyoke on Tuesday morning. So it is remote, and then live. We will definitely share out information so everyone can hear that. It is, to summarize, it's too much right now, but I appreciate everyone attending and being aware and being a part of that conversation. And I also want to recognize Charlene for going to that joint conference. It was very long. It is full days of work. And it is not only about upcoming legislation that impacts vocational schools and all schools, but there are countless issues that affect schools that Charlene did attend trainings on with me and separately. And I hope next year more people will join us. I would love to see a group of us there together. But I want to just thank Charlene for taking that time out of her personal schedule to go. So thank you.
Welcome. It was a great experience.
Any other questions or comments? I will reiterate the thanks for your efforts here, very important. I was not very happy with the response from MASC. I'm not sure we want to take that any further, but I think we should think about it a little bit. Yeah. Anyway, any other comments or questions? Any other thing you have to say for us, Charlene, on this item tonight?
Not yet. I am looking forward to meeting with Linda and with the superintendent and moving forward with our new letters, new agenda items for the subcommittee on legislative affairs.
It'll be a very interesting year for your subcommittee this year, that is for sure.
I think it will be.
Okay. That's the end of our regular agenda, but we have a extra jam-packed executive session coming up. I'm sure you're all excited about. But before we do that, not all subcommittees have met and voted on their goals for the year. So let's get those out so we can present them to the school committee as a whole. That's what I'm holding out on. So I'm gonna have Julia send friendly reminders to the chair people of the subcommittees to try to get those as soon as we legitimately can. I know meetings are hard. Let's get them all together so we can send them out and show that we have goals for the year, even though we already know what our goals for the year are. Just another reminder that we have a separate link for the executive session. So when we close this session, you go to that other link, they'll come back to this link, and then we will have our executive session at that link. And who do we need to join us for that? We need Julia, the superintendent, anybody else? Heidi, do we need anybody else other than you and Julia? And
that is it.
Okay, very good. And we are not to return to open session. Therefore, I'm going to move that we enter executive session. It says return to open session, but we don't want to return to open session in the agenda. So move to executive session, not to return to open session, to include the school committee, Julia, and Superintendent Driscoll, for the following reason. Number one, to discuss strategy with respect to the litigation of George Clement versus Minuteman Regional Vocational Technical High School Kathleen A. Dawson, as an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigating position of the public body, and the chair so declares. I've made that motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any
Second.
discussion of the motion? Nope. Bring it to a roll call vote. Pam?
Pam Nurse Acton, yes.
Sarah Montague Arlington, yes.
Linda Herbison Bolton, yes.
People do Concord, yes.
Maggie Sharon Dover, yes.
Charlene Cabral Lancaster, yes.
Erin Musto, Lexington, yes.
Jeff Stuhlin Needham, yes.
Alice Lucas Joe, yes.
Very good. Thank you all. Thank you all, the other people who joined us. School committee members, I'll see you in a couple minutes on the other link.